Inspired and tired, that's the gist of our podcast. Inspired, but we're tired. Should we create or should we take a nap?
Create.
Nap. We should definitely nap.
Chase, we're doing the show.
That's right. Of course we're doing the show. Yeah, no, that's what I said. Yeah. Inspired and Tired with your hosts, Chase and London.
Hi, everybody. We are here today with an amazing guest and, of course, my amazing sister, Chase.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yes, I guess we'll just jump in.
We're jumping in.
Okay, we're jumping in. Well, this is Inspired and Tired.
I jumped.
With Chase and London. If you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. It's a podcast all about creativity and learning to unblock the
creative spirit within you.
There we go.
Yep.
So we've been going through the Artist's Way each week, and every now and then we've been having a special guest. And do we have a special guest today?
Yes, we do.
She is, well, I know her through Christina P, who's my favorite stand-up comedian and who I opened for on the road. She's become such a special friend, but she's also a psychologist and has her own podcast called Two Blonde Shrinks. Dr. Elisabeth Crane,
Yay!
Everybody.
Shout out.
And I'm handing it over to you to explain just a little more about this new podcast you have.
Okay, so it's obviously Two Blonde Shrinks, which means one half of me is here. My partner, Dr. Irene, is also a shrink who happens to be blonde. So we named it Two Blonde Shrinks just to literally say who we are. We met in grad school and we started the podcast in the wake of the pandemic because we knew people were struggling mentally after the last 3 years. And being a shrink, it's a very private field. You know, we sit behind closed doors. We don't get to hear, like, we don't get to get out in the world very much. We get to hear people's stories, but we're not out there. So we decided we wanted to talk about what's going on with people publicly. And that was sort of the impetus to get us out there. And then we bring in, like, we talk about mental health stuff, what's going on with people. We love bringing in wellness stuff, any hacks, anything new in the wellness world. We're super into that. And then truth talk. We try to be honest and relatable to people because, you know, it's the human experience that we're all going through.
Well, you've been so helpful to me. Anytime I see you, I always leave with like a
dating advice.
Dating advice, people-pleasing advice, just like everything. The confidence I have after talking to you is always just like the little oomph I needed.
You know, sometimes you need a little cheerleading friend, I think, in life. And I'm big on that. Like, I've always been very supportive of my girlfriends, and we all have bad days, right? And we need people to like lift us up when we're going through hard times or having bad days. And when our friends are having good days, like, I want to hear from them. So bring me back, you know?
Oh my gosh. And I always need life hacks. So the fact you do wellness life hacks, are there any on top of mind that you want to share?
I mean, just carving out like 5 minutes a day for yourself, putting it on your calendar, like 5 minutes for nothing is a good hack. Chewing gum when you're having anxiety is a good hack.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, look at these hacks.
I know, that's easy.
Pineapple for serotonin in the brain is a good hack if you're like feeling sort of like down and out. Besides, if you can't get vitamin D, obviously go out in the sun. But in the winter months, you know, some foods can help. We like doing like little things you can do to tweak in your life if you're having sort of that lull.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we'd call it a lull or just like a little stress, but we had a travel incident. What would we call it getting here?
A directionally
issue. Challenged situation getting here. And you left an hour and a half ago, and it should have only taken 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My GPS, so
Yeah,
my car
what
didn't
happened?
register the address. Google Maps didn't register the address. Waze came to the rescue, which was lovely.
We sent her so many different addresses around here too. They wouldn't register. So in a time like that, it would have been good maybe to be chewing
Have
on
some
gum.
pineapple.
Yes.
Oh, pineapple.
Yeah.
Some
Pineapple gum.
It is frustrating, but I think we can use this example as a microcosm for life of like sometimes it takes different ways to get somewhere.
Yes.
That's great.
You're not always going to get there in the way you think you're going to get there.
But you will arrive.
But you will arrive. And here I am.
And here you are.
And we're thrilled.
I want to know how you decided to go into this field. Were you always interested as a kid, or is this just something that ended up happening when you went to college? Like, where did you begin your journey in psychology?
Well, it's actually quite interesting. I was just telling my husband this the other day because by the time I was a senior in high school, and by the way, shout out to 818, I'm a Valley girl.
Yeah, we are too.
I went to Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks. And by the time I was a senior, I was just like over it. It's, you've gotten into college, you know where you're going. You're like, I don't have any more proms to attend. All these people, what'd you say?
Where'd you go?
Sherman Oaks.
No, to college.
Oh, to college. I'm like, oh my gosh, Sherman Oaks, Notre Dame. I went to University of Texas in Austin.
Oh, right. That's right.
Is that Hook'em Horns?
Hook'em Horns.
That's where our grandma went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know the sign.
Yeah.
I had to get out of Cali for a minute because I needed a new experience. Being born and raised here, we're so jaded.
I think that's so important going to college. It's such a great time to be able to experience something new and get out there and do something different. So
yes, I think our souls don't want to be tethered to anything because we want to grow. Subconsciously, we're all seeking growth. But around the time of my senior year, I was just over with everything. I was done. So I was like, oh, we have a school counselor. I'm going to exploit her. I didn't really mean to exploit her, but I would get hall passes, leave my classes, and go and use her for therapy. And
no way.
It was so fun for me.
At Notre Dame?
At Notre Dame.
Oh, my God.
And she became my best friend. And I was like, there's something to this. Sitting in a room and getting to open up to somebody and share. I also was in therapy as a kid when my parents divorced, so it became second nature. But it wasn't a straight line to becoming a shrink. I worked in fashion and interior design, and I had a bunch of different careers.
And her fashion sense is just through the roof.
I did go to FITM. I worked it.
Makes sense.
But I loved it. But there was always a part of me that was missing. And so that's when I was like, I need to go back to school and see this through in psychology. And I'm not very good at many things. I own this. I suck at a lot of things.
I know you're good at this.
I am okay at this.
You're great at it in my eyes.
Thank you.
So we were talking how it would be pretty cool to have you on this creativity podcast because you said there's lots of psychology behind why people get blocked as artists. And I guess hacks or things that we could talk about to change that.
Yeah, because in the artist way, which we've been going through, there's a lot of trying to discover like why you are blocked, and it asks you to go back to your childhood and the way your parents were talking to you and speaking to you about certain things. And we would just like to know how that impacts you.
Before you answer too, I've been finding whenever we go back to childhood, I'm like, I had so much support. I know we both did. The blocks don't seem to come from there. The blocks have seemed to come in my 20s, but like, am I just missing something? So anyways, that was part 2 to the question.
We're very excited about this question.
We're so
clearly.
Yes. Okay. I think a lot of people are excited about this question because a lot of people are blocked, right? And
I would say most artists are.
And we don't know why, but there is a reason why we are. And it does go back to childhood for most people. So anytime something happened in our lives, let's say traumatic, it disconnects us from self.
And how do you describe like a traumatic experience?
It's anything that disconnects you from self. So anything that, like, think about any experience you've had in your life. We'll use bullying as an example, or a not attuned parent, a parent who is not emotionally attuned to their child. So that child learns to cope. We all develop different coping strategies. Some children get ADHD from it. We all respond differently, but it's like pulling out cords from a computer, right?
Well, I didn't know ADHD could be a response to something. I thought it was like born that way.
Nope, it is a response to
handling your parents,
to trauma.
Poor parents have such a hard job.
It's such a hard job
because it's like they tend to be the core reason for so many problems. So wow, that's tough.
All of the early problems.
All the early problems are from the parents. As a mom, and a psychologist, are you so aware of this?
Too aware, to a detriment, to a fault. It's like an extra layer of parenting. And look, I know my kids are going to have challenges. I just hope they're not the same ones I had. That's like my goal as a parent. I'm like, all right, let me fix this so that I can deal with something else. Like I'll tackle a different problem.
So like London and I don't know if this is trauma. My therapist told me it was, and I never thought of it that way, but we moved a lot growing up and went to different schools and had to change friend groups and stuff. And she told me that could be some sort of like block. I don't know creatively, but like I never thought of it as a trauma, but that type of like constant change and not feeling like we had this one place that was always ours. Could that be something?
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. Not feeling tethered, or that creates instability in kids when you move too much. It's sort of, I mean, kids need structure and stability.
And is that a way of pulling away from the self, like you disassociate?
Yeah, so think of it like we're all like, I'm going to use this as an example, we're all like big computers, right? And we have all these cords that lock us in, and we're complete. That computer system is perfectly operating and complete with all these plugs. The plugs get pulled out along the way because of things that happen to us in our lives. And so moving and the stress around moving and the instability that could have created for you could have pulled out a plug. That plug later in life becomes a block for something else.
Wow.
Very interesting. Because also you're saying it's not something that was traumatic for you, but moving a bunch was super traumatic for me.
Well, I remember London would always be crying
every time we moved. I hated it.
And I would like, maybe I got like praised for it because I remember my mom being like, Chase handles it so well. But I'm sure that was just a way of like, look, I'm handling it well, and putting
but also
front on.
You're watching your sister not handle it well, so it makes you feel like, oh, well, we can't both fall apart.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
You like one of the kids has to be the strong one when the other one's not, right? And we watch this in families too, in family dynamics.
That's interesting.
So maybe subconsciously you were like, oh, I need to like support my sister because she's having a hard time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That makes sense.
I don't know about you. I always felt like it. Like now looking back, I was always like, oh, that made me someone that's very like open to going into new situations. So I think there was a positive as well. But yeah, I don't think I ever noted that it could be a block somewhere. And it's so interesting having to go and see, okay, what block is from what? Like it's very challenging.
Is that important, do you think, to be able to go back through and like pinpoint certain blocks to then move forward? Or how do you think like someone who is creatively blocked can move forward and past those issues?
100%. Self-awareness is key to unblocking. So literally like think of it like a map, right? You set it up, you're trying to pinpoint everything to get to that other place. You got to go back. Where did it all start? When did this happen? And keep moving through that. And once you get the first part of self-awareness is like, okay, so I'm aware now of what that is. Now, how do I paradigm shift that for myself and my life?
Can we trust ourselves though? Because sometimes I'm like, this is a big deal to me, but is that actually where the trauma comes from or the block comes from?
100%. It's your narrative. You have to trust yourself. Everyone's story is how the lens in which we see the world and where it comes from for us. So it doesn't have to be true to Chase for it to be true to you. It's true. It's just it happened for you and it happened for her, and you were in the same house, but it happened differently for each of you. Maybe it was the same experience. It's just like eyewitness testimony. You can watch a car crash. People all report it differently, but they're all there at the same thing to see the same thing. It's the lens in which we experience life and see it. And so it's our truth.
And when you're saying once we find what it was, which I think is a lot of work, because there's so many things that like maybe we think we're getting to the root cause, but it was something that happened when we were like 2 that we don't remember. But once we do find it, you say switch the paradigm, so just change the narrative in our head.
Well, so self-awareness, right? Now you're aware, okay, this is where this comes from. This is in this area. This is why I'm blocked.
Okay.
And then it's really getting in touch with the emotions around that. That's the next thing. That's where you go into therapy and you do work around that. During that time, I felt whatever it was, helpless, sad, alone. And you process those emotions around that time in your life and that experience. And you take the charge out of it. So then that's a way to remove the block. It's no longer going to hold you back once you're aware of it and you've processed it.
How long does that process usually take?
It's person dependent. Some people take a while because things are very charged, and then other people seem to move through emotions pretty quickly.
2 questions. Okay, first, when I say maybe it happened when we were 2 and we don't remember, is that ever the case? Like, are there memories we just won't remember?
Who is it? Sigmund and Floyd? No.
Siegfried and Roy?
Yeah, wait. Who's the
tiger
guy?
Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, is that the guy that made you come back to your childhood baby on the couch and lay down?
Yeah. He's the father of psychoanalysis and psychology. I mean, we learn a lot about him. He was like the first guy who really started doing psychology a million years ago. But we do remember things that we have what we call pre-verbal memories. So these are things that are indelibly placed in our minds, but we don't have words for them. We just have reactions to them or feelings around them. What's your first memory?
Well, see, I don't know if it's a first memory or because I've been told this so much, but there's an early memory. I was like 2 and I was climbing up this shelf and I got some salt or something and I made Chase laugh. Like my parents always told me that story.
I don't remember that.
And they didn't stop me because it was making her laugh and it was so funny that they let me continue.
But you don't know if you
But
really
I don't know if
remember
that's
that?
like the truth or just like what they've told me.
So this is their earliest memory of you that they're sharing with you that's now become your earliest memory.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have an earliest memory?
Chase has a lot more than me.
I remember it being in my crib.
Okay.
I remember just laying there and being like, okay, my mom's not here yet, so I just waited
Just
out.
gonna wait.
There were no thoughts going on. How clear was I? Just nothing going on.
What's the feeling?
I was like, I guess I'll wait. That was the feeling.
I guess I'll wait. What is that? Like
Like
what's the tone
I
on
think
that?
I knew my mom was going to come eventually, and the tone was like, maybe bored. Maybe I was bored in my first memory.
Bored. Okay.
I was bored.
And does
Or
boredom
just
translate
waiting.
into creativity, right? It's so the opposite of creativity, but it's interesting. I'll talk about boredom in a second.
Okay,
If you're bored, you're not creative, right?
correct.
It's sort
But
of the
how can a
opposite.
baby in a crib be creative?
Oh,
Tell
I mean,
me.
Jeff Bezos took apart his crib when he was a
I
baby.
was going to say I got out of every crib I was ever
Disassembled
in.
it. You can get
Yeah.
real creative.
You
in
don't
a
have to
crib.
wait.
Oh, but that's so me to just lay there and wait.
Do you wait now in your life? Are you a waiter?
I'm just lazy. Like I love to nap. I love to be in bed. I love to sleep.
So yes.
But I think I sleep as an avoidance sometimes for life. Wow, I didn't ever think about these things connecting. I just thought I was so present in that crib, and I try to get back to that feeling a lot.
You know what? Sitting there relaxed in a crib.
Doesn't
a
that
little
sound
bored.
nice?
It's not that bad.
No.
You're not upset. You're
I've
not screaming
always
out for help.
remembered that just being like, oh, look how calm and peaceful I was. I guess the feeling was like there was no anxiety. There was nothing like, it was always a positive memory. But maybe I could have been more creative in that crib.
Well, you know, you can go back in your mind and relive that and do some creative stuff and create, you know, and use that as sort of
I could
an
have been daydreaming, looking at the little whatever hangy thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot I could have been doing.
Well,
Don't be
woulda,
too
shoulda.
hard on yourself. You were how old? 0?
I think I was one.
yeah. You know, not a whole lot going on.
Yeah,
you know,
there wasn't a
as
lot
far
going
as
on.
doing.
Yeah.
Gosh. It's interesting you both said your first memories were positive ones, though. Because
Yes.
a lot of people, when I ask them, when they come in for psychotherapy, well, what's your first memory? It's usually a negative one.
It's
Really?
usually trauma is
Trauma.
what makes us remember.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
That's usually the stuff that stays with us more than the happy memories. Do you find that?
absolutely. I just found a journal from when I was 15, and I was reading through it, and everything I had journaled about I was like, oh, I remember this to a T. Everything, every journal entry.
Because they were negative?
They were all traumatic. So I must, like, that's what we hold on to. Like, I could still tell these stories to this day, what I was journaling about at 15.
It's the same thing when people look at comments on social media or something. That one negative comment sticks out. You remember it. You dwell on it, whereas all the positive kind of just falls to the back.
Oh, that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, our brains tend to hold on to those negative emotions and the trauma because later we're meant to resolve them.
Oh, we have so much work to do.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Can I ask you what your first memory is?
Sure. My first memory is it was my first day of school, and I lived up a steep driveway.
Preschool, kindergarten, first grade?
I want to say it was either kinder or pre-K.
Okay.
I was quite little. I had to wear a uniform, and I was so excited. I'd waited all summer to go to school. This was like, I was like, my eyes were as big as they could be. And I had my backpack on, I had my school uniform on, and I ran as fast as I could. The school bus arrived. I was like, oh my gosh, a big yellow bus. This is amazing. And I saw the kids' faces looking at me, and I'm running down the driveway, and I just ate shit.
Oh.
And I cut open my knees.
So relatable.
My mom came running out. I'll never forget sitting on top of the washer and dryer, and her like having this like first aid kit, like stitching me up and then driving me to school. And I missed the bus, and I was traumatized because I was just all that anticipation and excitement had been dashed. And yeah.
That is a traumatic first memory.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But it actually had a happy ending because my mom came out, she rescued me. She taught me to be resilient. She was like, all right, well, we're going to get to school. We're just going to be a little late, and you're going to have bandages on your knees for the rest of the day, but you're going to go, you'll be there. And I did.
That's beautiful.
But you're saying like that stays in our memory because eventually we need to relieve that trauma and like get that out of us.
So what trauma does is it's a disconnect from sense of self, right? Think about like who we are and when we feel connected, right? Like so much of what makes our lives great is when we feel connected to another person or to ourselves. And what makes life hard is when we feel disconnected or confused or disengaged or alone, right? So resolving that disconnect, resolving that trauma will help us live more fulfilling lives and have more meaningful relationships, not only with others, but with ourselves. And it'll give us more self-awareness.
Well, why does then the events that happen as we're older not affect us as much? Why is it always going back to childhood to try to resolve things and not
good
like
question.
last week?
Even though I think I have a lot of trauma in my 20s.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the past always informs the present. So those early memories become like indelibly left in your brain. And a lot of the stuff that happens, we call it during pruning years, right? When the brain is still forming and we're growing into the people that we're becoming. Those are the things that inform everything else that we do in our lives. They're going to inform who we attract as mates, as friends.
And they repeat themselves in different types of experiences.
Until we get to the bottom of what the heck is going on and paradigm shift ourselves and break patterns and change, these things and resolve trauma.
So do like affirmations?
That's what I was going to ask. Is paradigm shifting affirmations?
It can be. Affirmations are funny because for some people, they work fantastic. And then for other people, they're like, no, this isn't for me. Like, this isn't resonating. I feel stupid doing this. Other people like really believe in it's the manifestors, right? They're like, okay, I'm going to just keep saying these things and manifesting. And for them, that works. But for other people, affirmations, that's not their road.
And it's because they just don't
believe it.
They don't believe it. It's not for them. And is there anything like for those types of people that you can do? Because in the Artist Way, we've been hearing repeat these things over and over again.
God loves a creative
Creativity is
person.
your passion. Like
I'm creative and I create for the good of life.
I think we all create differently, and I think we all have different creative purposes. So some of us, have you guys done your human design charts?
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Yeah, I'm a reflector,
Oh,
which
you're a
I bet you could have guessed.
What are some of the options? Because maybe I'll remember what I am.
Generator.
Manifesting generator.
Manifesting generator.
That's the one I am.
Reflectors, only like 1% of the
It's
population.
Wow.
very rare, and it's the worst one to be.
No, it's not.
Yes,
I
it
don't know if
is.
that's true.
That's what they say.
Well,
Why is that?
Anytime I've listened to, like, I listened to a whole thing, and then they brought up reflectors, and they all go, ooh, not
it's like how I'm a Scorpio. People are always
Not
like, "Oh,
good.
you're not."
Oh,
I am too. We
Yeah,
get a
I
lot of
know.
bad
People
rap.
don't like.
I always stand up
on.
for Scorpios.
Thank
I say they're the
you.
best because you're empathetic, but you also have the sting. So you're able to like stand your ground, but you also have like you're the water sign and you're able to be super.
See how you talk about Scorpios is the way reflectors should be
Well,
reflected on.
reflectors have a very hard time in life. Is
Why
what I've
did they
been
say?
told.
Because they're reflecting the world back?
Yeah, they don't have any structure inside. They're just taking everything in, and it's everybody's stuff, is what I've been told.
So if you're a reflector, that means you should really try to protect your energy
Mm-hmm.
and really associate with like energetics that are in line with positivity and elevation.
Would that be a manifest generator like her sister?
Are you a manifesting generator?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're here. Generators are here to create stuff. Like you're here to create something unique.
That makes so much sense.
And then you're also here to manifest stuff.
So this girl can manifest and create like
Thank
I've
you.
never seen.
She's
Okay.
got it
I do
made.
love manifesting.
A
It works for
manifesting
me.
generator Scorpio. Wow. We are
London,
she's on
there's
her
been
A
times
game.
in her life where she can just say something like, I want this to happen, and literally 2 weeks later it's happened. And I'm like,
But I believe in
she's
the
so
affirmations
she like
and
knows
the manifesting.
the science of manifesting too so well.
But you have to believe. So it makes sense that for people that don't have that just full-hearted trust, that it won't be there for them.
So much of the manifestation, I think, has to do with energy. It's the energy we put into things. It's less about the words we say, like whatever it is your affirmation is. It's the intention behind the affirmation and the energy that you put into it that's going to make it happen. It's like laws of attraction.
That's
stuff,
the E equals MC squared.
I guess.
I'm just spewing.
I
out
don't know
whatever.
that one.
Well, that's
I've
Albert
heard of it.
Einstein.
Einstein.
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it means.
I mean, I couldn't tell you either.
I think it's
really
the law.
have no
I think
idea.
it's the law of attraction, where what you
That's
think
E equals MC
translates
squared.
into the things that come into your life.
Alex, can we look that
You can
up?
look it up. I don't think that's right.
I
E
think
equals
I'm right.
MC squared is the law of
I
attraction.
think I'm right. Yes. We'll
Okay.
find out. But if it is, I don't know what I get.
I'll be so impressed.
That is impressive.
They could just say law of attraction.
I mean,
Energy equals.
it's a lengthy Wikipedia page, but to sum it up, it's the law of attraction, baby.
The fact that mass and energy are the same physical entity and can be changed into each other. That's the law of attraction.
Yes, so energy is the thoughts in your head that can then be translated into a physical object that, you know.
I think you're right, London.
I think
you're
so,
right.
too.
Equal
Well,
to the kinetic energy of that body. Yeah.
Wow, and Einstein just made an equation of it.
Well, he did a lot of digging, I think, to come up with it. But, you know, now we can believe. It's his most famous equation.
I've heard of the equation.
Okay.
I've never understood it.
Until now.
And now I do.
Some clarity.
Yes.
I've journaled about it. I've journaled about E equals MC squared as like a creativity. I was trying to write stand up about like, what is this? Anyways, it
Did it make it in the set?
it never made it to stage.
Well, it's still in production.
Yeah.
Maybe one day it'll get to the
Yeah.
stage.
Fascinating.
Okay, so we're saying affirmations could work for someone. For someone that it doesn't work for, and I've heard this tip that sometimes by saying an affirmation like, I am amazing, a lot of times your brain rejects it because it goes, no, you're not. But if you say, what if I was amazing? Curiosity, your ego doesn't get in the way of. so you can actually feel that feeling more authentically than just saying I am. So I've heard to put what if in front of your affirmations.
I like that. So curiosity, I think, is a very important thing that helps fuel creativity, because having a curious mind will lead you to places. And the opposite, like, and I also think I was bringing up boredom earlier.
Yes.
The precursor to creativity is boredom. So you got to get bored before you can get creative.
Which is why they say spend your 5 minutes alone doing nothing, or like just be alone and take time for yourself, take a break, because that's when.
Be in Shavasana and let it just flow. Be in your crib and just wait.
Just wait in the crib. Okay.
I mean, the crib's not a bad mental place. It's safe. It's contained.
Yeah.
You know mommy's there and coming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a bad memory per se.
I don't think so. I've always thought it was positive. Or at least just something to get back to. I want to get back to that.
But were you wanting mommy?
No. I knew she was there.
Okay.
Oh, this is great then.
You're just chilling.
I was, London might know this. I was so zen as a kid.
I mean,
Was I?
I don't remember.
Okay,
you
my
at the
memory
crib
is I
era.
was the chillest kid.
Yeah, she would sit on the beach and eat sand.
I'd just sit there.
No one stopped her.
I was so chill.
Yeah.
chill.
Uh-huh.
Do
Quiet.
you still feel chill?
No, but I know that's my truth. Like, I know that is like the real, most authentic version of me. And life has added layer and layer of anxiety and people pleasing and making sure everyone's happy and like so many layers where I know my foundation and how I used to be. I feel a real shift in 5th grade is when all of a sudden I was no longer just calm, present. Like I see that shift huge. Something changed in me where I was like, oh no, now I need to be popular and I need to be liked, and all that started happening in 5th grade. And before that, I was very chill, eating sand on the beach.
Well, around then is like peer influence stuff starts kicking in. And if you're a reflector, you're taking in all the stuff around you. So if there's like a mean girl crew, you're feeling that.
Oh yeah,
Whatever
I was
it
feeling
is.
very judged, very like all of a sudden it shifted.
Yeah. Well, the world's kicked in.
Yeah,
The
5th
world
grade is
kicked
rough.
in 5th grade. That's when you moved in 5th grade, and London had
terrible.
a tough time.
Tough time. But I don't know. I think, though, always we've both been very creative, though, and none of that kind of stopped us from our creativity even at a really young age, which was nice. So I think we just need to
The
stick with the positivity of
creativity
it.
block
Came later.
started when it was like, this is my career now. The creativity, when it was just for fun, always flowed. And then that pressure kicked in. And that's when, instead of being like, let me just create for fun, in the back of my mind was like, oh no, are there going to be mean comments? Oh no, are people going to like this?
Are you
Oh,
going to earn enough money?
is this going to get me ahead in my career? Like all those thoughts just like put a wall up. So that's where I'm at with my blocks. And it feels like that all happened in my 20s, not as a kid. So take it away.
Well, you got to go back to the beach and eat some sand mentally in your mind and go back to that person that was blissful and present and carefree and remove expectation.
And that's exactly what the Artist Way is sharing. As we go through the book, it is all about you have to be in this place of love and fun and no pressure and just taking yourself for whatever comes your way, baby step it as you go, and then good things come. And it's just so hard to believe that that's possible, but it seems like that's the only way.
Well, what if you said in your mind, I already made it? What if you mentally said that to yourself?
What if I made it?
Like whatever it is you're wanting.
Oh, like made it metaphorically, like in life.
And when I say made it, I should be more specific. Whatever it is you're wanting, you already did it. It's complete. Check.
Look, I just went, okay.
Okay, so it's already done.
It's done.
It's done. You already tabled it. It's over.
And then
Okay.
do you move past that goal?
And then you never
You
never do
don't
it.
ever try.
And now you take it.
Now what?
That's a way to take the pressure off, right? Because you've mentally just tabled it. You're like, that's it. I already made it in my mind. It's done. Like
That is relaxing.
Yeah.
But okay, the creative project is done. What about like, and people love it, or like take that off the table?
Yeah, it's done. It's like it's cooked. It's a baked cookie. It's done in your mind. You've already made it, right?
Okay.
Now you can create it.
Oh,
That needs to go on a shirt.
Yeah.
You've already made it.
It's
now
a baked
it's time
cookie.
to create it.
'Cause
Okay.
Or
it's-
that.
Do you want the baked
shirts,
cookie is on the back,
front and
on the
back, yeah.
front? You've already made it. Now it's time to create it.
So here's something I think
Picture
about a
of a
lot.
cookie. Okay.
I think about why we don't savor the journey more, and we're so focused on the result in the end of like whatever that goal is of getting to that next place.
Because it's all about the journey.
Well, the journey is the part we're going to remember in the end.
These are all things that like inherently I know, like I've heard that so much throughout my life. Like it's all about the journey. So it's just like maybe saying it to myself enough to believe it.
It's more like slowing down. I think slowing down is a big thing. I notice because our society has just become lightning speed, it feels like everything, and we're moving so quickly, we're forgetting to savor feelings and emotions around experiences. Like go do something with your friends, like be here now, and then also like check in, like how am I feeling with my friends? Oh, this is fun. Oh, I feel really connected.
So
to this
draw
person.
yourself to the present as you're living it, not like we're journaling in the morning and reflect it in the moment. Have those times.
Yeah, like even when you're at something, like step away from the table for a minute and just breathe and like take it in with your eyes, you know? Like I do I Spy with my kids. It's such a good way to like bring yourself into the room. But because we're moving so quickly, we're forgetting to savor things.
I find though, like I've been going to lots of weddings recently, and like I was at one with a bunch of friends, and a lot of times it's not the, oh, I'm having fun. It's the, I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot of socializing going on. I just want to be alone thoughts. So what do you do when you're in, I mean, you just recognize it.
Well, you go be alone. You can leave that
Just
party for
leave the
5
party.
minutes and take some
Leave
deep
the
breaths.
party.
Leave the party.
Leave the party.
I'm sure there's something positive about it. Like I'm thinking anytime I'm out and use the restroom, use that as like a moment to be like, okay, you're on your own.
I know, but I
Take
say
a
I need to go
second.
to the bathroom to be alone, and everyone's like, I'll go too. I gotta go too.
So
Girls
don't
love
announce
to
it,
go.
girl.
Yeah, don't announce
Don't
it.
announce it. Just leave.
Yes.
Yeah, people don't need to know your every move.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Just the same way when I send my texts like, oh, I can't this weekend because I have X, Y, and Z, and they don't need to know what I'm
No.
doing. I'm
You
just,
can say a few things, but yeah, you don't need to get into like an elaborate plan.
people don't need to know when I'm going to take a
They
bathroom
don't.
break.
And by the way, they don't care.
That's what I always say. People only care about
But
themselves.
they seem to care about me.
Well, it's not that they don't care about you. It's that people are so consumed with their own stuff that what you're doing is second fiddle to what they're doing. And it's not that they don't care. It's just everyone's pretty egocentric.
Yeah,
you know?
okay. Great.
Whether
So
they
just
go to the bathroom with you or
don't
not, they're
announce
not
it.
gonna leave the party
Okay.
being like,
oh my
"How
God, I
dare
feel
she."
so like I just need alone time. Okay.
Do you feel like in your job you can be creative?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you were in fashion and other things before that clearly you had to flex that muscle.
Yes, I think so much of psychology brings in creativity because it's a soft science, right? It's a lot of different things you can bring into the room, and I like to tailor make my treatment with every different patient. It's never the same. Like anytime someone
fun.
walks through the door, I have no idea what's happening. Every day is different. It's super creative and it's fun, and there's no monotony to it. I'll tell you that. It's not an easy job, but it's a fascinating, interesting job.
Do you have any like hobbies on the side that allow you to be creative as well, or does that fill your fix?
Oh gosh.
Fill your
well.
well.
You know,
Fill your well.
I'm really loving podcasting. That to me has become a creative outlet.
Definitely.
It is.
I'm this Two Blonde Shrinks is super fun. I didn't realize it was, I mean, it's a lot of work, right? And you girls know that, but it's also very fun to pick a topic and like unpack it with, and examine, well, what's going on with cheaters, or what's going on in the world? Why are dating apps so hard for people?
Yeah,
It's
that's so
fascinating.
true. That is totally, like, I like that you see it, you answered it as a hobby because like it's fun for you even though it's work. So that's, I think, the ultimate goal for me at least is to get like the idea of creativity again as fun instead of work.
I think if you can infuse fun into work and you can morph those two, you have a really good recipe right there.
I couldn't agree more.
I have one question that I think we could end on because it ties it all together, but tell me what you think.
Let's hear it.
Okay. I truly believe that creativity, like we talked out at the beginning about trauma and like working through this trauma and releasing it, that creativity is a huge way to release it and to work through stuff. And do you ever have your clients like use writing a story as a way to like, how do you find creativity helping in creativity blocks?
Yeah, helping
am I
people
making
process
sense?
their blocks through
I got lost when I was
sketching,
talking.
or I've heard even crochet is used sometimes
like
in therapy to just help the mind slow down. and,
Writing
like,
a song, not because I want to perform it, but as an outlet to get these feelings out is almost a way, like being creative almost helps.
Well, so I'll give you an interesting example. I spent a lot of my career working with kids, doing therapy with kids, which is totally different than when you do it with adults.
what ages?
It starts around 4. So my youngest clients were around 4 or 5, and we do play therapy. And so much of the work with kids is an expression is through play, and through play therapy, they get to be creative and tell their story and express themselves and then I get to figure out, well, what's going on with them. And so that's with kids, but like with adults, that creativity doesn't necessarily, it just looks different, but it doesn't go away. We have narrative therapy, people get to tell their stories. There's so many different modalities and things out there. I think what's hard for people is we do get blocked, and it does stop us from accessing those parts of our soul where creativity lives. And really, creativity is expression, if you think about it at its core. To be creative is to be able to express this part of yourself that lives within you. And so therapy will allow people to access that, hopefully.
Is there any one tool with the kids that you use that you find to work really well?
I mean, the dolls, the doll houses, mommy and daddy, you can figure out a child's dynamic in a household really quickly.
Oh, I'm sure.
With that. There's like the clay and the sand trays, and there's so much stuff with kids. They don't understand it as much as adults because they're small brains, but it's my job to go back and be like, okay, I pieced that together for them, and then go and tell their parents, okay, I think they're feeling this.
Wow.
That is so fascinating. I feel like we're all kids at heart, so I'm like, maybe I should get out my Barbies.
Yeah, let's get
Unpack
out the
some
Barbies.
things.
Why not?
Are you going to see the Barbie movie?
I do want to see the Barbie movie.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know who wants to see it with me, but let me know.
I can't wait.
Your boys aren't into it.
Yeah, my husband's not down. He's like, you can go with some friends.
Oh my God. You can use it as an artist date.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. Are
Yeah.
you girls going?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a thing. You're gonna dress up or what?
I have friends that are like
Dressing
getting all
up
dressed
and
up
already have
and,
tickets,
Yeah,
but it's like sold out for a while. So
yeah.
Well, Barbie's not going anywhere as
No.
far as I can tell.
Yeah.
if anything, she's just arriving. So I can't wait.
I'm here for it too.
Oh, well, please share again your podcast and anything else that's going on with you.
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram, Dr. Elisabeth Crane. You can find our podcast also on Instagram at Two Blonde Shrinks. We're on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
That's right. I was a guest on your podcast, so I'll be appearing on an episode one day soon.
Yes, that was a great episode. We talked all about people pleasing.
Oh my gosh.
You know
Chase is the perfect specimen for that.
I was very honest and open.
I
so
mean, how could you
it's-
not be,
I know.
Elizabeth? She just lets you
It
be
was
your
an open
true
book.
self.
So yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much. I could honestly just keep asking you questions and get answers, and I just found this so fascinating. So thank you so much.
I'm so happy to be here to see you girls. So fun.
Yay.
Thank you.
We'll see you I'll see you
We'll
before
see you
this,
soon.
but
See
we're
you at
going
the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
to the Barbie movie, and you're coming with us to Denver, right?
I will be in Denver.
That's right. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And if you aren't following, subscribing, liking, commenting on Inspired and Tired, please do. We love seeing what you guys think. And
Yeah, it's been really heartwarming to
It
get
has.
the comments and the people
that are doing the artist way with us or just listening to the
It
podcast to
makes
get
us
some
so
tips.
happy.
We love it. So can't wait to be back next week. And we'll see you soon.